In this next video, we're going to look at something called data validation. Big name, but it's very important, especially whenever you're working with tables. And what data validation does is it makes sure that as somebody enters information into a field, that the information entered into that field is spelled correctly and entered properly. So for instance, when you're putting into a field, and I've just created a blank field called data validation, but just using in terms of the managers, we can see that there's at least 3 managers that are showing Smith and Baker and McKenna. But I mean, we have to make sure the person entering in that information spells that information correctly. Okay? SMIT needs to be spelled SMIT within a database. Otherwise, you're going to get incorrect information. You can't start spelling it SMYTH or SMIT. So, I mean, like, you want the information entered properly. For the states, we want to make sure that the correct abbreviations are entered. Okay? And one way of ensuring this, making sure that that information is entered properly, is by using this process called data validation. So how you go about doing that is we have this blank column, field name data validation. So I'm going to highlight everything in here. Like, there's nothing at all within that column. So I'm going to highlight that first. That's where I'm going to be putting in my data validation. Next step is clicking on the Data tab. After clicking on the Data tab, what we want to do is come over here to the right and hit the down arrow for data validation. Next, click on data validation. Next, where it says right now the default allow any value, well, we're going to change that. And we're going to hit the down arrow. And the only thing that we're going to allow is information coming from a list, which is another way of saying information coming from a table. So we're going to find list, highlight list, click on it, then come down here to source. And the source means where is that list located? And where that list is located is right here. I'm going to highlight here from P4 to P7, which means the only names that I want somebody to enter are the names Baker, Johnson, McKenna, and Smith. So they're within that list. Click OK. You're going to see here that there's now an arrow here for that first one. I would click that arrow so the person entering the data can come in here and then click on what that name should be. So it gives that, so instead of the person having to type the information in, which takes time, and worst of all, if they type it in and spell it incorrectly, you will have problems. So we're going to start Baker down here. There's nothing in here. Hit the arrow. The next person might be Johnson. And once again, what the data validation is doing is ensuring that the information entered into the field is entered correctly. Thank you.